MrYorkieLoverFitness.com.
How you guys doing? So the question of the day is, did Big Ramy get robbed? Okay, so I see a lot of people, everyone's making videos about this saying, Big Ramy got robbed. Phil Heath shouldn't have won. So let me just set up some perimeters here on how this goes. First of all, if you're a Phil fan, then you'll say Phil deserved to win. If you're a Ramy fan, you'll say Ramy should have won. But you have to see how these judges do this stuff and understand bodybuilding to see who the true winner is. And so let's go through these prejudging photos. And full disclosure, I don't have a horse in this race. I want the best person to win. I have filmed Phil Heath before, several times actually. I've never met Big Ramy. I'd love to meet him and film him also. But like I said, I'm looking at I watched the Olympia just looking to see who's going to win. And let's throw something out there right off the bat. Is everyone's talking about the big stomachs, and they're saying Phil looked pregnant and he had a big stomach. Well, first of all, if you watched all of them, they all had big stomachs. And that's due to the insulin and the GH that's now being used in bodybuilding that wasn't used back in the day. And so they all have big stomachs. Now, did Phil's look bigger than most? Sure. Was this Phil's worst stomach ever? I agree. Yes, it was. But like I said, if you go back and look at all of them, they all have big stomachs. But what you got to realize is that these bodybuilders are not being judged by how they are laxed. They're being judged by how they look when they hit these poses. So that's how they look at them. And another thing to throw out there is usually in a competition, in the prejudging is usually when most of the judging is done. And they usually decide the placing just in prejudging alone. But I think it's done differently in the Olympia just for the fact that they know at prejudging these guys are going to come in a little more bloated. And then when it gets to the finals, they're going to be dried up and their skin and everything, their muscles, everything's going to be tighter and the muscles more striated than normal. So like I said, so prejudging normally in a regular competition would be a big factor. In this, I think it's probably only 50% of the actual placing. It's the finals that pretty much nails it down. So I think the prejudging in the Olympia just comes down to putting out the call-outs, the 3 different call-outs before you get to your top 6, bodybuilders and eventually your top 5. So if we look at prejudging, this is the first pose they strike. I mean, obviously Phil's stomach, as you see, is a little bit bigger here, but keep in mind, Big Ramy I think he's taller and about 50 pounds bigger than Phil Heath. But just because he's bigger and has more mass doesn't mean he automatically wins. I mean, first of all, he looks phenomenal. He looks amazing how big he is. But that's not all that counts to win this competition. So they both look pretty good. I'm saying if you look here, obviously Phil's pecs are more defined than Ramy's. Ramy is wider, but then Phil has the stomach. But, they're just doing a front double bicep. So if we're going off that, both of them look great. So we go to the next pick. And so you look here at this, and like I said, Ramy's still wider. Phil's stomach still, obviously Ramy's stomach looks better than this, but then look at her legs. It's like everything was so close in this competition. And I think that's what people are forgetting, that just because it's close, it could go either way. And I thought this could go either way too. So you keep going, you look at their next prejudging pose. And I think they both look great here. Like I said, when you hit these poses, you don't see Phil's stomach. You don't see his stomach. They both look great. And like I said, I think a lot of people that don't know a lot about bodybuilding are looking at Big Ramy, and just because he's bigger in size, thinking, oh, well, he should have won. But I don't think that's the case here. So you're looking at the backs, and in the prejudging, their backs looked about equal. It's in the finals, I think Phil takes it in the back, but in the prejudging, they both look pretty much equal here. Then you look at this pose, and you see obviously more definition. You don't see those lines here. You don't see this line right. See these lines right here in Phil? You don't see them right here. You look in, let's see, all this. Yeah, so, I mean, he's bigger. Obviously, Ramy's bigger and wider, but he's not cut up. where you should be seeing these, and that's all about conditioning. So we go into, I believe this was their most muscular, and like I said, and when they're hitting their poses, obviously you still see some of the stomach here, but look, they both look great here. I mean, they each have their flaws, but they both look great here. So then we go to the finals. So as you can see off the bat in the finals, and sorry these pictures aren't that good. It's hard to find good pictures online of this stuff. But you look at both these men in the finals, and they both look 100 times better than they did in the prejudging. Because like I said, they've had time to dry up, and everything. All their muscles are more defined. But look at it. So like I said, so I admit with most people that when Phil was relaxing, he looked pregnant with his stomach. But when he's doing this pose right here, I mean, you don't even notice it. You see the cut up lines here, which you don't see on Big Ramy. You see the more defined areas right in here in the chest that you don't see on Big Ramy. So I think in these two pictures, yeah, Big Ramy's bigger, but I think Phil looks better in this pose. And keep in mind, this is just my opinion, guys. So you look in here now, like I said, the stomach's not a factor, but you look at he's just more cut up all over here. And Romney's not. It's just all mass. But like he's wider. Sure, he's wider. This pose, both guys look great. I think, like I said, I think Phil looks better in this pose just because you see more definition. See this right here, which you don't really see much here, and see these lines right here, which you don't really see on Big Ramy, and then the legs. It's like I think Big Ramy has it better right here. He's got more the lines, but yeah, it's like the kind of like it could go either way, So you look at the back again, and this is like they always say. It's like if you've been watching Olympias, they always say it's won by the back pose. And so Phil's known for his back pose, and look how much better his back looks than Big Ramy's here. It's like look at all these lines right here, and there, you barely see some lines here on Big Ramy. Obviously both their legs and calves look phenomenal. Both their arms look phenomenal, but I think it's all right here, and I think this is where Phil took it. And looking right here, like I said, obviously this guy's bigger and wider, but this is more conditioned. And I think that's what the judges are looking at, because since these guys are getting so massive compared to the golden era between the 70s and 80s of bodybuilding, it's a different time now, guys. I mean, I agree that the golden era bodybuilders looked way better because they didn't have the distended gut that they have now because of the GH and insulin. But these guys are way more massive, and I don't think it looks as good. But you have to go by what the times are, and this is what they're competing against. So they're competing against each other's mass. And so that's what we got to go by. We can't compare these to the bodybuilders of the days past. We got to compare it to the current bodybuilders. And like I said, it's just the conditioning right here that Phil has in the back over Big Ramy. And you see this pose right here. And like I said, that's like on this pose here, because Big Ramy's not turned like Phil's turned, so he hides that gut. Big Ramy's, if he would have turned it a little bit more, twisted a little bit more, it kind of looks like he has a gut now right here. So then you're looking, so like I said, when you're looking at them posing and hitting these poses, it's like I said, you still see it's a little distended, but it's a little distended on both. But they're hitting the poses, and that's what they're judged off of. They're not judged how they're just free form standing there. And let's see, I believe this is the last pose I had of them before they hit their most muscular. And it just looks like there's more definition here. You just see more lines than you do here. Here's more mass. Here's more definition. So I honestly thought this could have gone either way. But I think what it is when you have to unseat a champion, you can't barely beat him. I think if this was a new Olympia where neither one of these guys were winners or previous winners, and they're going up for their first Olympia title, this could have went to Big Ramy, because it's like I said, they were so close. I think Phil got him in the back, and everything else was close. They both had their pluses and minuses. But if you're trying to unseat the current Mr. Olympia, the 6-time Mr. Olympia, I think you have to not just barely beat him, you have to beat him by a big margin. And I think that's what went against Big Ramy. He looked great, and it could have gone either way. But he trying to unseat a champion, I don't think he did. But what I do think is going to happen, I think if Phil Heath comes in this condition, as you've been noticing, Big Ramy's been getting bigger and bigger every competition. So if he comes in a little bit better and Phil Heath comes in like this, he's going to take next year. So Phil's got some work to do because this guy's right on his tail. He is so close. And, let's see. So now Phil Heath has 7, and I know he wants to get to 9 to hold the record, and then he's out. But this guy stands in his way. This guy could beat him next year. And let's say Phil does get to the 9 and he retires. This right here will be your next Mr. Olympia. Make no mistake. This guy's going to stick with it, and he's going to condition himself a little bit better because he's definitely got the mass now. He just has to have better condition so those lines show more. But you're looking at your future Mr. Olympia. Now, is it next year or is it 3 years from now? Who knows? But Phil needs to come in a lot hotter than he did this year because I think he barely pulled this off. And that's my opinion. But, and I'm like I said, I'm not a Phil Heath or Big Ramy fan because, like I said, I love the golden era of bodybuilding myself. And so, I like all those champions from the 70s and 80s, but I'm not really too much into these mass monsters, but I still watch it because I'm interested in the sport itself. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do I know what the fuck I'm talking about, or am I just way out there? Who knows? Maybe I am. But go ahead and give it a like, even dislike if you want to, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.